we just talk about these, all these different things, these
Mhm.
that you have to deal with out here, which I think is just it's unfair. I think it's a little slanted what everybody has as far as what they think is actually happening out here. Um, so hold on.
Here's that fewer penalties in the last 10 of 11 games. That's a little alarming. Okay. But you also see Kansas City penalty yards, 319 yards versus the opponent penalty yards, 541 yards. That's a little alarming. These are not just penalties here. These are difference makers of outcomes of the games. It's happening on third down. This is a personal foul that kept the ball alive, kept them alive, kept the drive alive. That's keeping an already good team another opportunity. And just to say it, when you have conversations with people off camera, the NFL already rigged. Let them tell it. Yes. Taylor Swift, they keep showing more Taylor Swift than anybody else. Yes. Then you got Caitlin Clark with Taylor Swift, and that's even more of a monument. It's like, yo, does the NFL really need Kansas City? Is it good business in that point? But when you see it from that lens, obviously D'Amico Ryans is furious. Obviously the Texans is furious. But when you look at it, it's not just penalties. These are really coming down to deciding factors of an actual game. And not only that, personal foul that when you hear.
So I was just thinking, and when I was looking at this, I'm like, Cam actually made a good point. I don't think you know the point he actually made. Okay, at least for me and my argument on it is what you do see is a team that has been winning that I do believe may be a little bit more disciplined in certain positions, certain areas.
Mhm.
So you start getting into more playoff wins. When you start winning a particular way, one of the factors that determines an outcome is how disciplined you are or not having penalties. And so I know Andy's one of those guys that reiterates to the guys about, doing things a particular way, right? Having a standard about how you go about doing things. He gets on guys anytime a guy has a penalty, as long as it's, now look, we know if a guy's, using a lot of effort and stuff like that, you don't really call a penalty too much. But boneheaded plays, we said Jawan Taylor would jump off sides, maybe he lined up wrong. Kadarius Toney last year, he lines up against, I think it was the Bills. He lines up off sides, boneheaded things like that. He gets on, okay? But also, too, these guys know, and we understand in meetings, what are we told all the time from a coaching staff is penalties will kill you. Turnovers will kill you. We understand this. This is part of the conversation. But Andy does a great job of making sure guys understand what it means to be a champion, okay? Now, I don't know why Cam decided to invoke Caitlin Clark and
Yeah, he lost me on that one.
Yeah, the whole conversation, right? Because it's just another narrative everybody wants to say just to hate the Chiefs. But I think he made a valid point. The valid point he's actually making is the Chiefs are a much more disciplined football squad than some other teams. Now, it's not saying that they are always going to be disciplined and not going to have any penalties. Things do happen in the game. We do understand that. But I will say that part of our pedigree is that we're not going to have a huge penalized team. And he just don't put up with it. And you know that playing up in Philly, you used to see it when he was up in Philly, the same thing. Eddie just doesn't, he don't deal with those things, right? He lets guys play, but also too, he wants guys to play within the rules of what they say,
Yeah, but also you got to look at this.
Right?
Because Kansas City is good as it is, right?
Mhm.
To me, it's about maximizing the opportunities you get.
Want to make some quick cash and have fun during the NFL playoffs? Well, it's time to embrace your inner underdog. Over the last 3 weeks, we have given 11 selections and we have cashed on 10 of those, predicting higher or lower on multiple different player statistics. So we are ready to continue this heater into the playoffs. So if you have yet to download the Underdog app, do so now and get free cash. Click the link in the description or use promo code CHIEFCONCERNS, one word, to claim your free pick plus first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. It's NFL playoff season, so let's continue to keep the good vibes in 2025.
And when you do capitalize on that opportunity, and then you get a penalty that negates it, now the furor is a lot worse. Because think about it like this. We finally got to Mahomes. Now you got me for it. So,
Yeah.
and especially, and again, here's where the optics come into play. It wasn't like he was going out of bounds. He was juking and jabbing, trying to get the extra yard. So he was a runner. He wasn't a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
So again, for me, I'm looking at it as if you're going to call it. You know, we already know. Everybody knows. They overemphasize it for a point. But when it doesn't look like you want it to look, and he's the runner, but he's not a quarterback, he's trying to get an extra yard. And to me, where the real crux of it is that fine line when you're trying to go full speed and all of a sudden you got to pull the emergency brake. It can't happen.
Right.
It can't happen. So it's a totally different argument if he's trying to slide out of bounds. When he got thrown out of bounds last year and they got the penalty, that's stupid, right? Because you know they're going to get you, and they should get you.
Mm-hmm.
But again, Jalen Hurts got thrown out of bounds last weekend. No call. You know, he's trying to get the extra and it might get a late hit or something like that. The consistency is the problem. And it just always seems like because of how good Patrick Mahomes is, the national narrative is like he don't need no extra help. And every time you throw that flag and it's a questionable call, that's when people is like, come on now.
Right.
It's like that's where it looks bad.
Yeah. So okay, I will say that, right? And actually, when Travis Lawrence got hit by Aziz, okay, and they were talking about how dirty of a shot it was and what he did, he should be suspended, he should be gone for the rest of the season, all these things, right?
Yeah.
And I was actually like, look, Trevor Lawrence kind of slid at the end. Aziz, you know, he's thinking, I mean, like you said, trying to pull the brake on to hit a guy, that's hard to do. It's tough to do. So my thing was, I'm like, but I see what they're saying, that he should be fined for the things that he did. I get it. Now, the same thing, because we're going to like the consistency of it.
Right.
If Pat is going down, and it seems like he's perceived going down and giving himself up, and it's always that ambiguity, right, in there a little bit. Is he or is he not? It's kind of the question. Then it's on the refs to make that call.
Right.
And so for them, look, we understand. Look, this is without a doubt human error, and these things are going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I think the first one, the clear one, was the whole roughing the passer. Will Anderson hitting his face mask should have been called. He's up top, hits the face mask, absolutely, right? Like, I don't think there's any type of ambiguity as far as in that rule in itself. The one is, like we were just talking about, the last one of just going down. Now, did Pat, you look to the refs and try to get a call? I didn't see him doing that. But like you said, it's not our fault. It's not Patrick Mahomes' fault. That's the refs to make that call, right?
That's correct. This is the NFL's version of the Jordan rules.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So,
everybody knows it exists. And if it was benefiting your team, you would take advantage of it. So I'm not going to hate on it, but think of it like this. A lot of this stems from Patrick Mahomes. Didn't he have a play early in the season where it looked like he was going out of bounds and he ended up going down the sidelines and damn near scoring?
No. For me, it didn't. For me, what people, I think, fail to understand is that Pat is probably one of the most underrated, underappreciated runners with the football as a quarterback there is, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Because he didn't look like a runner. When he takes off running, Pat is always going to tiptoe. I mean, you see it his entire career. He's been doing the exact same thing. It is on the defender to hit him on the sideline. I'm sorry. It tells you, anytime you're sitting over here, okay, old offense coordinator, Jimmy Ray. Jimmy Ray said, man, you better get violent on the sideline, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Because they're coming to hit you. And you can't pull up thinking they're not going to hit you, but you can't take every other chance thinking that they won't. So get violent, lower your shoulder, all those different things. But Pat just made a good move going up the sideline. So when people said that, I'm like, man, he didn't use that rule of running out of bounds. To me, I think that was it was a false narrative. 100% it was. Because if they just know through the history, body of work that Patrick does, Patrick is a great runner with the football, and he don't mind running up the sideline. Now, Pat is not one of those. I'm going to tell you, Pat is not one of those to make a cry to the refs and all these different things about hit me on the sideline, okay? We know what it means when you drag a guy out of bounds. We know what it means when, you were 2 or 3 steps out of bounds. That's a different thing. That's a different thing. So I think, man, for us, at least in that narrative, Pat didn't use that rule. It's just what everybody was sitting there saying because everybody still is slanted in the way to think that she's still getting the calls.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.